In Sometimes It Is Better Not to Know Who is the Father of Your Child, Lily faces the daunting possibility that some truths are better left undiscovered. Torn between the need to know her child's father and the fear of what that knowledge could bring, she stands at a crossroads. What choice will she make? Chapter 5. Sometimes it is better not to know who is the father of your child.
Life, I've learned, is a mosaic of moments. Some you wish you could relive forever. Others you'd give anything to forget. As I rushed to James' house, the test results burning a hole in my pocket, I couldn't help but wonder which kind of moment I was hurtling towards. James's voice had been a mix of urgency and fear, a combination I'd never heard from him before. It set my nerves on edge, my mind racing with possibilities. Was he hurt? Had something happened? I arrived at his house, my heart pounding in my chest. The door was ajar, unusual for James, who was meticulous about security. Pushing it open, I called out his name, my voice echoing through the quiet house. "Lily!" His voice came from the living room, strained and barely above a whisper. I found him there, sitting on the couch, his face pale, his eyes haunted. Something about his appearance made my stomach twist with apprehension. He looked up as I entered, his gaze locking onto mine. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice trembling. I sat down beside him, my mind racing. Was this about the paternity test? About that night at the party? About us? He took a deep breath, and then the words came, spilling out in a torrent of confession and revelation. He talked about the party, about the choices he'd made, choices that had seemed inconsequential at the time but now loomed large between us. As I listened, a sense of betrayal began to seep into my heart. James, my rock, my constant, had kept secrets from me. Secrets that changed everything. And then he mentioned Alex. My mind flashed back to the cafe, to Alex's words, his promise to be a part of Sam's life if he was the father. But James's revelations cast those moments in a new, stark light. I felt like I was in a freefall, the ground slipping away beneath me. The man I'd trusted more than anyone in the world had deceived me. And for what? Fear, protection, love. He reached out, his hand hovering over mine, but I pulled away, a reflexive reaction to the storm of emotions inside me. I needed space, space to think, to breathe, to figure out what all of this meant for me, for Sam. The paternity test results lay forgotten in my pocket, their significance dwarfed by the revelations that had just shattered the quiet of James's living room. In that moment, I realized that knowing who Sam's father was didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the web of lies and half-truths that had entangled us all. I stood up, my legs shaky, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. James looked up at me, his eyes pleading for understanding, for forgiveness. But I couldn't give him that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. As I walked out of James's house, the cool air hit me like a splash of reality. I was alone, truly alone, in a way I'd never been before. The men I'd thought I could count on, the men who could have been Sam's father, were now just reminders of a past I couldn't return to, a past that had lost its shine. The drive home was a blur. I was on autopilot, my mind numb, my heart aching. When I got home, I scooped Sam up from his crib, his little body warm and trusting against mine. He was oblivious to the chaos of the adult world, his needs simple and pure. As I held him, his tiny hand gripping my finger, a realization began to dawn on me. Maybe it was better this way. Maybe not knowing who Sam's father was meant I could write our story on my own terms, without the shadows of the past looming over us. I looked down at the test results, still unopened in my hand. Did I really need to know? What would it change? Sam was mine, my son, my heart. He didn't need a label, a paternity test to define him. I tucked the envelope away in a drawer, unopened, its secrets locked away. Maybe one day I'd have the courage to face what was inside, but not today. Today, I had my son, and that was enough. As I rocked Sam back to sleep, a sense of peace settled over me. Life was messy, complicated, and often painful. But it was also beautiful, filled with moments of pure love and joy. Tomorrow, I'd wake up and face the world, just me and Sam, against whatever came our way. But tonight, I'd hold my son and cherish the simplicity of the moment. Sometimes it really is better not to know. To be continued.